प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मआणीस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness in all your glory. May the truths of the scriptures shine forth in my life. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our true self. As the unchanging reality in the midst of all changing appearances. Let us think of it as a steadily burning candle flame. As I concentrate on that, I see its lights becoming better, bigger, brighter. I see it has pervaded my whole being. I am the light of this self. And with that, I see the whole universe enveloped in this bright luminosity. All names, forms, all different shapes, they are all just made of light. The space between them is also made of light. All is the Self, the absolute existence, the absolute bliss. In this absolute still oneness, there is no desire. No disturbance. There is not even the vibration of thought. All is dissolved in this luminous, blissful calmness. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's discussion on this unique biography of Sri Ramakrishna, written by his very close, intimate monastic disciple, Swami Saradananda, by first reciting our regular mantra, regular opening chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuvi grinanti te Bhurida janaha. This chapter, and we are on now page 531, this chapter is about how Sri Ramakrishna becomes the teacher of his teachers. His Guru Bhava, or his teachership, spread into his teachers also. This doesn't mean that Sri Ramakrishna ever showed any disrespect to his teachers. He was very devoted and followed their instructions in letter and spirit about performing the spiritual practice that they prescribed. And then as he practiced those disciplines, he reached the goal of every single path that their teachers showed him very quickly, in a way you can say effortlessly. And the reason is also one can see. Why? Because all practices are actually for cleaning the mind. God is our true nature. So no practice is going to give us God. We are divine. For most of us, this truth does not get seen because the apparatus of seeing is dirty, full of a lot of dross on it. And therefore, by spiritual practice, what is meant is just cleaning this mind. As the mind is cleaned, the God becomes apparent. And therefore, if the mind is already very clean, it takes no time to go by that path, very clear. It is, if suppose this hall has a lot of dirt and stains and such things, then to clean it would require a lot of time. We have to broom it, scrub it, then bring some special solution to remove those stains which have really stuck very fast to it. And after working on it for quite some time, we require a lot of work. It is one of our Swamis used to say that it is so much deep this dirt has gone in that brooming or just this regular methods of cleaning, brooming, wiping, that doesn't finish the work. You have to really bring a hammer and chisel to take out all those deep stains. That is the condition of many of our minds, and that is why it takes long time to do the job. With Sri Ramakrishna, the mind was so pure that whatever spiritual practice he was told to do, it would be done just like that, just like that. And so he attained the end of each of these paths very quickly. It is a question that gets asked many times, that when it is told that you stick to your path, respect all paths, but then do not just keep on shifting your paths, this, okay, for half an hour today let me be Buddhist, then half an hour let me practice some other discipline, let me be a Vaishnava, then half an hour let me become, say, a devout Christian, following all that Catholic disciplines, or some other thing. It is so that is not how we can develop, because when it is told, some people say, they protest. Well, Sri Ramakrishna practiced all disciplines, why should we not? Oh, you fellows, Sri Ramakrishna took up one practice and reached the goal of that practice, then he took another one. If you can do that, you are most welcome. But the whole lifetime one keeps on going by one path and still does not come anywhere close to the goal, and then wants to, I will practice this religion 10%, that religion 25%, and so forth. And there are so many religions, so I have to practice each of them. So maybe I will practice 100 religions, 1% each. So that is not how the harmony of religions is established. Follow the path meticulously. Follow one path. Sri Ramakrishna reached the end result of every path. He realized the divine within by every path. So, and then he took another one. So now, having practiced all these paths taught in Tantra by Bhairavi, this Bhairavi Brahmani was his teacher in that. And then we saw how Bhairavi Brahmani, although a very highly evolved spiritual person, still there were a few defects left in her day-to-day life. It is, and we have to remember this, this is not for condemnation of that great spiritual giant in the form of Brahmani. Not at all. It is to show that even in such a devout and pure life, who became teacher to somebody like Sri Ramakrishna, there are some certain things still to be learned in life. Then what to speak of us, So, we have to learn so many things, and Sri Ramakrishna became thus the teacher to illustrate to Bhairavi Brahmani that, well, you may be, greatly advanced in certain paths that you are following, but that does not mean that you have gotten rid of many of these practices. Many of these defects like jealousy, possessiveness, and so forth. So, this is now we are going to see a diametrically opposite teacher of Sri Ramakrishna, uh, Totapuri, a monk of great achievements in spiritual life. He was the follower of the path of strict Vedantic non-dualism, very much different from Bhairavi. Bhairavi's path was devotional, considering God as something that is your own and so forth, and not the path of discernment, and not just by discernment. That was not what Bhairavi taught. So, therefore, this Totapuri arrived at Dakshineshwar. As we have seen, all teachers who taught Sri Ramakrishna, they came to Dakshineshwar on their own, as it were, or we may say ordained by the Divine Mother to do that. Divine Mother arranged for their coming to Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna did not invite them. He did not send any invitation by email or whatever, no, nothing. They just came, and Sri Ramakrishna got the vision of Divine Mother saying that you have to learn from them. And thus Sri Ramakrishna became their disciples. So this is a very fascinating account of Totapuri that is given here. This has been, most of these things have been told by Sri Ramakrishna directly, almost all of these. And then Swami Saradananda has narrated them here together. So let us read. This is on page 531. Totapuri was a tall and robust man. After concentration and meditation in solitude for 40 years, his mind had become free from thought waves and he had attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Yet he continued to practice meditation and spend some time in Samadhi every day. These words need a little elucidation, that what is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, what is Samadhi in general. Samadhi means the concentration on the truth absolute, not the practice of concentration, but achieving that concentration so that now you see the reality clearly. So, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is the ultimate that destination of this practice of concentration, that there is not a single ripple of thought and therefore of any other perception left. The mind has become like a very calm, still lake. Not a ripple is rising there. So, fully established in truth, no thought wave rises there. That is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So, Totapuri, as a result of practicing 40 years, had achieved this, and still he was meditating every day, and spending time in this kind of, thoughtless state, the samadhi. So it is, yeah, as a monk of the Naga sect, Tota remained naked like a young boy, so the master would call him Nyangta, the naked one. He may have called him that because it is disrespectful to mention one's guru's name frequently or to address one's guru by the name. The master said that the naked one and never stayed indoors and always kept a sacred fire burning, as it is customary in the Naga sect. Naga monks regard fire as very sacred. Whenever they happen to be, they collect firewood and keep a fire lit. Such a fire is called dhuni. Naga monks worship the dhuni in the morning and in the evening. They offer their food obtained from begging to the fire of God, the fire god, in the form of the dhuni, and then partake of it. During his stay in Dakshineshwar, the naked one made his living place in the Panchavati. That is a place, a picture had been shown. What you see here in the back is something similar to that. So, 5 different trees were planted together there. So, Pancha means 5, and Vata means the different types of that trees, the vegetations. So, that is how this gets called Panchavati. So, this kept a dhuni burning near him regardless of the weather. He would eat and rest next to the dhuni. In the dead of the night, when everyone else was asleep, forgetting their worries and anxieties like children in their mother's lap, the naked one would get up to feed the flames of the dhuni. He would then sit as motionless as a mountain and immerse himself in samadhi like the unflinching flame of a lamp in a windless place. This is an analogy given in Bhagavad Gita, that how the mind is, it is shining, but that shine is not having any wavering. So it is told that his mind was like that, and sometimes during the day he would meditate in such a way that nobody realized he was doing so. Quite often he was seen lying like a corpse near the dhuni, his entire body covered by a chadar, means a wrap. People thought he was sleeping. Tota's only possessions were a water pot, a pair of long tongs, an animal skin for his seat, and a thick chadar to cover his body. Every day he polished his water pot and tongs until they glittered. Observing his regular habit of meditation, Master One asked him, "You have realized Brahman and have become perfect. Why then do you meditate every day?" That's a good question. Many ask this question, that why a person who is realized, who has seen the truth, still does meditation and some other rituals. Why? What is the need? And then there was a very nice such question and the answer given by a very saintly person who was a Shankaracharya one of the Shankaracharyas in the Kanchi Mutt recently. He passed away quite a few years ago, and so he was considered a person who has realized God. And he was doing worship. Daily he used to do some worship, he was doing worship. And then one devotee came and asked, he asked in a somewhat, what would look like a polite way of asking. Instead of saying, why are you doing worship? You have realized the truth. He put it in a general impersonal question. Does a person who has realized the ultimate truth need to do worship? And the Swami, instead of giving a reply directly, asked another question. What should such a person do? You can ask the same question not about worship. Why should this person need to eat? No need to eat, because there is no purpose left for holding the body either. Everything is achieved. Why should this person walk? That question can be asked about everything. Does a person who has realized the truth need to walk, need to sleep, need to eat? So also need to worship. These are some of the disciplines that the person has followed. They are now no longer mandatory. But this person still continues to do that. So there is this person, Totapuri used to do it, and Sri Ramakrishna asked him this question. And then Totapuri's answer was very nice. Tota looked at the master calmly and pointed to the water pot. See how bright it is, he said, but will it not lose its luster if I don't polish it regularly? It was made of this copper. So copper in the moist atmosphere, soon it gets stains. So therefore, to make it shine, you have to keep on polishing, cleaning it every day. So it is, yes, it is true. Yes, that Totapuri remarked. Master admitted the truth of this statement, but remarked, suppose the water pot were made of gold, it wouldn't get tarnished even if it was not polished every day. Yes, that is true, Tota admitted with a smile. All his life, the master remembered Tota's words regarding the importance of daily meditation and would often mention that teaching to us. We presume that the master's statement, a golden water pot never becomes tarnished, was also permanently imprinted in Tota's mind. Tota realized that the master's mind was indeed as bright as a golden water pot. From the very beginning, the Guru and the disciple had many such intellectual exchanges. According to Vedanta scriptures, a person becomes completely fearless after attaining the knowledge of Brahman. Indeed, it is the only way to become free from fear. A person who has realized that he or she is the indivisible Satchidananda, by nature ever pure, ever illumined, all-pervading, ageless, deathless Atman. how can such a one fear anything or any person? This is a question that is asked in Upanishads, that like Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that how can this there be a fear? Where there is one that sees the other, where one sees something separate from oneself, there is the possibility of fear. When there is no other whom this person is going to fear, what this person will get scared of, that is how the fear gets completely eliminated. Not only that, there is no other way of eliminating fear from life except by realizing, by experiencing this truth of oneness of existence. There is no other way. As long as there is other, that is also the statement in the same Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. If there is a separation, then there is no escape from fear. Other Upanishads also concur in this, like Taittiriya Upanishad says, well, even if the slightest distinction is made between I and you, I and world, there is the fear. There is no escape from fear except by this knowledge that the self alone is. Therefore, when realizing this truth, Tota was fearless. So, it is such a person experiences the truth that he or she is all pervading, existing at all times, in every place and in every being. One who has achieved this state does not eat, walk, sleep, or awaken. That is how this person, because there is no I awareness. People see that this person is eating, but this person, there is no I. I am eating, that awareness is not there. There is no separate I at all, as it is described in again the Upanishads, that the eater and the eaten is seen as the same. There is no movement, because say for example Yona came at 6:40. So she came means she was not here before that, and then she came. But when the awareness is I am everywhere, how can that person go from this one place to another place? That person, that self is everywhere the same. And that is why Ishavasya Upanishad describes, and same idea is in all Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita you can read, that this person remains still and yet goes everywhere. The person is, tad ejati, tad naijati, tad dure, tad vantike, tad antarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyatah. What a great idea, that person is not moving and yet moving. It is, and that person is far and that person is near also. That truth is everywhere. It is inside everything and outside everything. That is the truth. So such a person now, it is difficult for us to imagine a person like this. It is, but that is the limitation of our perception. We cannot imagine, perceive many things. Many things appear to be completely illogical, impossible. But that doesn't mean they are really impossible. Just 50 years ago, it would have been considered impossible to just whip your phone out of your pocket while you are on drive and call somebody in Japan from Providence. And now it is possible. We do it almost all the time. So it is now possible. At that time it was considered impossible. So many things that because of our limited awareness are considered impossible. But that doesn't mean they are actually impossible. For an awareness, and if you even intellectually, if you see that this is perfectly possible, because if you are not the body, you are really everywhere, isn't it? What, Paul? Because I consider myself body, that I am here and not in that balcony there. But if I see this truth that I am not body, then where am I not? I am not mind either. So this pleasure and pain, they do not affect me at all. It is so. Imagine that state. Think of it. And thus there is no possibility, therefore, for that person to be not everywhere. That same being is everywhere. So it is like that. Because we are terribly attached and identified with body, it sounds difficult for us. Not difficult, impossible for us. But just see the truth. I am not body, and then I am everywhere. It is, instead of thinking of oneself as a picture on the screen, that you are actually the screen. Suppose somebody thinks that, okay, there is this very nice person there I am seeing on the screen, let me give that person a hug. Now what is that fellow going to hug? Only the screen. That is the reality. That is the only thing there. So if suppose now one picture realizes there, sees that I am screen, I am not this limited form, then that thing is in every picture, everywhere. So, and what prevents that thing from seeing this? This attachment, that I am this only, this heap of flesh and blood, that is what I am. And thus, I am not everything. Get rid of this totally wrong idea, and I am everywhere. So, because this person has been able to do this, now there is no fear, no going here or there. It is like that. So, let us try to feel this at our depth, that it is this understanding is one thing, but this has to get converted into tangible experience. Then you see this truth. So, it is the experience of such a person has been described by the scriptures as the culmination of the discriminating process of neti, neti, not this, not this. After this, one directly experiences the Atman and becomes fully established in it. To constantly experience the Atman means to become one with pure consciousness, which leads to liberation from all bondages. So, this is how one gets established. It is described in Upanishads and all Bhagavad Gita that you are established now in this experience of true self. Mundak Upanishad says, Atmarati, Atma Creed. Everything is self. And so, this person is playing with this self, not with any other object, is is satisfied with self, eating self, sleeping on self. There is nothing apart from self. So, this is how the awareness of this person is, and it is conforming to truth, and this is the goal of our life too. The master used to say, when a man is fully established in this non-dual consciousness, his body lasts only 21 days. It drops off like a dry leaf. In other words, it is destroyed. Ordinarily, people cannot hold on to this body when this realization comes. Almost, it is for ordinary person getting to that awareness, just 21 days max the body can last. One of our members, she said kind of humorously that, Swami, I don't want to meditate too much, because if I get into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then I will have to die, you see. I don't want to die. So I don't want to meditate too much. So it is, why does this body not last for ordinary people? The explanation is not far to find, easy, that our all this nervous system is just programmed, tuned, made. It is made only for the purpose of this external impulses. And so to see the object and to grab it. That is how our nervous system is tuned to. And thus this idea of I am everything becomes too much. The whole system seems to be collapsing under the tremendous force of this awareness. It is like this, that they suppose the wiring, electric wiring in a building, like this electric wiring. If it is used, this is for say 20 amperes. If you see the circuit breakers, you will see 20 amperes. So the wiring is made such that it can take only 20 amperes of current. More than that, it will just start melting. The wires will not be able to withstand that kind of current, electric current. And therefore, if perchance more current goes in, then the circuit breaker stops it. Otherwise, you will have a big damage, even it could cause fire. So therefore, it is this wiring is made just to handle that much current. Similarly, our nervous system is prepared, manufactured to handle only this very small amount of these electric impulses. Our nerves are like, these are like electric wires, more or less. And the response is like that, only small, I and mine. That is what a normal person is capable of. So, by practice, by refinement, one can get to this awareness, but this nervous system will not be able to withstand it. It is only people like God incarnations or some such who have to do a lot of work of preaching and teaching after getting into this samadhi. By the wish of God, their system is made like that. It is never made just to live with the sensual attractions. And so, only they can retain the body like that. But please don't get scared that, then what if I get into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then I will die. As if you are not going to die otherwise. You may die with COVID or whatever other reason, maybe you will live for 120 years, but then die. But what did you achieve in 120 years? Nothing much. So when one realizes this truth, the life is fulfilled. And now what is there if the body survives or falls? The purpose of life has been fulfilled. That's it. It is, and so one need not be scared of it. The death has to be there. One has to carry on the business. I told this joke many times that a fisherman, he was visited by a gentleman, and then what do you do? Well, I go out in the sea every day to catch fish and then sell. Oh, every day you go deep? Yeah, are you not scared of getting, the boat capsizing and getting drowned? This man said, no. This fisherman, then he was grilled further that, well, tell me, this is your family thing, tradition? Yes, my forefathers did that. How did your grandfather meet his death? Well, he had gone for this sea on this to catch fish. He went deep, and then suddenly a storm came and his boat capsized and he died. Oh, so he died on the sea like that? Yes. What about your dad? Well, he also met death in a similar way. The boat developed a crack, and while he was still out there, the water came in and the boat capsized and he died. And are you still not afraid of going every day? This fisherman was not going to take it lying down. He said, hey, how did your grandfather pass away? Oh, well, he got sick and then was passed away in his bed. What about your dad? Well, he also had a heart attack one day and then passed in his bed. And still then, are you not scared of going to bed every day? If you are asking the same thing. The death, friends, is certain. So, if the point is to make best use of the days that we are being given in this life, if we make the use of it, it is very good. Otherwise, it will not be useful at all. It is told in one very beautiful Sanskrit couplet that this, you have gotten this very nice, very powerful canoe. It is, you have bought it at a great price. That mahata punya panyena kriteyam kaya naustvaya, that by paying a huge sum, you have bought this boat with a very powerful engine also is attached to it. Why did you buy it? For what purpose? Param dukkho dadher gantum, to cross over this ocean of sufferings, to cross over that, and so do that job while that boat lasts. Tara yavan abhidyate, do that job before that boat breaks down. It is going to break down today or tomorrow, so make the best use of it. So, this is how it is told that, but avatars are extraordinary powerful human beings. In them, God has taken human form to benefit humanity, and so, and no one in this world can comprehend their superhuman spiritual powers. Only avatars from their childhood onward can reach that non-dual consciousness at will and stay as long as they like. In order to serve humanity, they force themselves to return to this world, the meeting ground of birth, old age, misery, happiness, and so on. Totapuri, who initiated the master in Vedanta, attained the state of Jivan Mukti, means living in life, still continuing life, even though being freed from all fetters of ignorance. By practicing severe austerities for 40 years, this is why his actions, eating, resting, sleeping, wandering, and so on, were not like those of ordinary human beings. Like the ever free air, he roamed freely from place to place like the air. He was untouched by the good and evil of this world, and like the air, he was not confined in one place. The master told us many stories about Tota's fearlessness. One about an event involving a spirit, a ghost. It was very late at night. Tota had built up the dhuni in the Panchavati and was preparing to meditate. The deep silence was broken only by chirping of crickets and occasional hooting of owls on the pinnacle of the temples. The air was still. Suddenly the branches of the tree under which Tota was standing began to shake. This is not any Alfred Hitchcock's novel, it is, it is just is very scary. That it is and that tree began to shake, and a tall man descended from it. Looking steadfastly at him, the figure slowly advanced and sat down near the dhoni. Tota was surprised to see that the man was naked like himself and asked, "Who are you?" "I am a demigod, a Bhairava," he replied. "I dwell in this tree to protect this holy place." Tota was not in the least afraid. "Good, you and I are the same, just two manifestations of the same Brahman. Let us meditate together." It is not easy to retain that kind of composure, It is, even though you may show that I am not afraid of anything, when in the dark there is no one, and then you are under that kind of a tree, the branches move, and all some ghost stories that you had read somewhere in the childhood, or whatever, they start making the presence, and then even though you actually don't see anybody, you feel, oh my, there is the ghost, your own shadow. Yeah, you see, what has happened? You leave your seat and start running and think that, the shadow is also that shadow, but you feel that other ghost is following you. That is how most of the ghosts gets their birth, And not a ghost, but some person, gets scared, and then hears some sound, and then runs away, shaking with fear, sometimes falls faint because of the fear, and then later on somehow goes to the village, his home, and describes it. And then that becomes then a popular legend there. Oh, there is this ghost there. This man, just the other day, was just chased by that ghost. It was his good fortune that he escaped unhurt. Only he fell down, so there are scratches, that's all. So don't go near that. And then that keeps on generating more and more fear. But here this man is fearless. This ghost came, he said, "Okay, come on, let us meditate." So Sri Ramakrishna also tells later that he also has seen that demigod or ghost or that yaksha there many times. So it is there. So I saw, Sri Ramakrishna said that I also saw that Bhairava seated on that tree. He motioned me to and said, "The English will lose the lawsuit, they will not get the land." There was this, that place, Panchavati and all, there was near there was a factory. So that's English people had owned it. So they wanted that the possession of that. So a lawsuit was going on that dispute. And so there was the doubt that whether this temple will be there, this property will remain with the temple or not. So it is that the English government tried to acquire the entire area of the Panchavati. But then he said, no, the lawsuit, the English company will lose, don't worry. So that came to be true. So this is the example of fearlessness that is mentioned here. Many other stories about Totapuri are given here. Very interesting person, very unusual. So we shall continue to read that. Today's time is over. We can just discuss a few questions after meditating on this for about half a minute or so. Yes, please.
There are three questions, Swami.
Okay.
One is from Sucheta Ghule. If Totapuri had attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the highest level, why he couldn't recognize Master's divinity beforehand?
That's a good question. It is, why did he not recognize? He recognized certain things. He recognized Sri Ramakrishna to be the excellent, most qualified person to practice this discipline. That much he recognized. But Sri Ramakrishna had hid himself under this cover of ordinary being, an ordinary human being, and therefore it was not clear to Totapuri that he is the God incarnate. Moreover, the discipline that Totapuri was established in does not recognize God incarnation as such. The non-dual Vedanta and is not doesn't need the recognition of God incarnation as such. In Upanishads, therefore, you don't find the mention of God incarnation, and thus Totapuri could not see this idea, this truth in Master. He could not see Sri Ramakrishna even as one established in God. It is so. This is something that was not within the understanding of Totapuri. He had Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and he had that non-dual, that Brahman established in him. But this is a question that gets asked very often, that then how could he not see everything? He could see everything as Brahman, but he could not see the specific differences in different things very clearly. And that is how we can see, as we proceed with this story, how he doubted many of the things that Sri Ramakrishna was doing and branded them as a matter of ignorance, a deep-rooted, that impression of ignorance is still lingering. That is why he is doing all those things. So, but this is a question that gets asked very often, that actually what happens is a person reaches that ultimate state by one path. Similar thing happened with Bhairavi Brahmani as well. One goes to that pinnacle, to the highest point there, realizes the truth, and then when again comes back from the same path a little back, and thus now is seeing the world with a different vision, but is still not able to comprehend that truth can be realized by some other paths also. So therefore there is a difference between somebody who has realized the truth, and then there is and somebody who is like incarnation of God. So this shows in this Totapuri's understanding of the ultimate truth. Yeah.
Second question from Charlie. Aside from teaching Thakur, what was Totapuri's purpose in life?
Totapuri's, there was no other purpose actually. He, when he met Sri Ramakrishna, he had, after a long practice, right from his childhood, he had been taught that the purpose of life is to get freedom from everything by realizing that everything is non-dual oneness. So that was the purpose, and there was, as such, he didn't recognize that there could be any other purpose. But in company of Sri Ramakrishna, later on we will see this, that there was still one lacuna, that he could not see that how this same one reality also appears as this manifestations in name and form. So they are, for Totapuri, they are just product of ignorance and therefore not real. Sri Ramakrishna showed that to him. He realized that from Sri Ramakrishna's association, that is an outcome of the power called Maya, or you can call it ignorance, but it is a power, it is a positive thing that is connected. It is synonymous with God. These are two different things that are together, that it is the reality one without second, and that same reality without any change appearing as all these different forms. So this was the remaining something that Totapuri needed to learn, and later on we will see he learned it in the company of Sri Ramakrishna.
Next question is from Himabindu. Swamiji, how to get rid of fear of wild animals in a holy place, unable to meditate because of fear of monkeys? I read Swamiji's story in Varanasi, face the brutes, but still can't get rid of this.
Himabindu, I also get scared of these things, it is ingrained in us, as I was telling about, fear earlier. This is put in us for our protection. But then it many times defeats the purpose because we get caught in it. So therefore, one has to impress upon oneself that I am all pervading reality. I and monkey, they are not different. It does happen. It takes time, to the one thing that you can do in this, and that is how the phobias get removed. You see that there are many others who are there with the monkeys in the holy places, like if you go to Vrindavan, Mathura, then so many monkeys all around, and the other people are there. They do not get scared who live right amongst them. So if you stay with them, with the monkeys, soon you will lose the fear of them. I lived in one such place where the monkeys were in abundance, and the first day I was scared. But then there was no escape, it is you are there, the monkeys are also there. So you make friends with the monkeys, and the monkeys also have to get adjusted to your being there. So imagine, think of from the monkey's angle. They have more fear of you rather than you have fear of them. So thus one loses the fear. Any new situation one gets scared, that it is looks quite unpleasant, and we think that maybe all these strange things may put me in jeopardy, they will be able to, they can hurt me, and so, but when that newness wanes away by being there for some time, then you learn to be there with these wild animals. Let me tell you a nice story that those people, tribal people who live in the forests, and they have, this is daily experience for them to encounter bears and those poisonous snakes, tigers and all that. It is, they are not afraid of them, they are used to them. But when they come to, say, a big city, imagine like, say, as New York, they are so scared. So many, cars, they are moving vehicles, lots of people, and then there are the lights flashing. All becomes very scary for them. And for that matter, there are much less number of people killed by the wild animals than those who die on the streets, you see, killed by the road accidents. So, it is thus you come to terms with these things, and you feel quite safe, as safe as you are in a city, in your home. Monkeys are there, that's it, let those monkeys be there. You find a kind of coexistence with them, they don't bother you then.
Next question is from Abhijit Kisle. Pranam Maharaj, are these lineages of wandering monks like the caliber of Totapuri still maintained and active in the Indian mainland, or this was mostly occurrences of the past lineages?
No, even now there are these Naga sadhus, there are many wandering monks still in India. It is, there are still many wandering monks in India. Even now, this tradition is still there. It is, but one has to remember this as well, that not all monks in this tradition are of that stature like Totapuri. One in, say, a few thousands could be of that stature. But this practice is still there. There are still monks of this type. Even in India, you will see some of them stark naked, but they are of modern times, because you will see that they are talking on cell phone. So, both these things are there. They are of our times, and yet they are following that ancient tradition as well.
There is actually one comment from Charlie. He says, you might want to let people know that there is 9 p.m. curfew in Providence tonight.
Oh, yes, at 9 p.m. Yes. Good, Charlie. So those who are like our Yona, better start. Jitendra, better start. Paul, of course, Paul is going in, I don't know, what about Canton? You are from Canton, is it? Taunton. Taunton, so Taunton, is there curfew there? No, curfew is in whole Providence, but in Taunton probably not there. 1 week, So please start. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who is listening online as well. All the best. Thank you, Charlie, for your presence of mind. Let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.